It's the real Avengers 2. I mean Captain America Civil War. Yeah, the real Avengers 2. Don't get me wrong, I like Avengers 2 fine, but this was the movie that really felt like it was pushing Marvel films to the next level. And it's literally just missing 2 Avengers, and it adds so many other characters that, just screw it, this is the real Avengers 2. Out of all the Marvel movies so far, I have to admit, this might be my favorite one. Marvel films, when they started out, were known for doing things very different, but after a while, they were starting to get kind of a repetition. People could recognize when they were building up another Marvel film, or when there was a joke that didn't need to have a joke. There's a little bit of a formula. But every once in a while, one comes along to push the envelope just a little bit more, and this one definitely does that. Captain America has a lot on his plate. Not only has he lost the love of his life to old age, man, that's gotta be a surreal thing to go through, but he's also trying to protect Bucky, the Winter Soldier, because he doesn't think he's really bad, he was just brainwashed, constantly deal with the government trying to tell him and his team what he can't and can't do, and even start butting heads with Tony Stark, who feels a great deal of guilt for the people that might have been killed in their battles. When more explosions and assassinations keep popping up around them though, a choice is made to finally stop the Avengers, but half of them don't want to, particularly Captain America. Mostly because the other half see Bucky as dangerous and should be turned in. So it's a battle of heroes and ideologies as the team is split and they constantly go against each other trying to get Bucky, as well as figure out who the real mastermind behind all of this is. Oh, and did I also mention Black Panther? Oh, and Spider-Man? Oh, and the death of Tony's mother? Oh, and like a billion other things going on in this movie that are so massive that the villain is actually just kind of a wormy guy, not even a big-time Marvel villain. In any other movie, this would be way too much, and I would be so pissed off that the Marvel villain is another letdown. But what makes this film so good is every character's motivation is completely understood. It's perfectly explained, it's perfectly talked about. When an action sequence starts, you don't say to yourself, why are we having this action sequence? You know exactly why. Every time there's a twist or a turn, it doesn't feel like it's just the movie trying to trick you, it feels like it's something else to motivate the characters more. Yes, there's a bad guy technically setting this up, but he's almost sidelined at the end. The real focus is these different heroes and their different ideologies, and you understand them both, relate with them both, and feel conflicted. You still love both of these sides. It's not like in Avengers 2 where you just say, what the hell is Tony Stark doing? He's being a jackass, or actually a lot of the other Iron Man movies, the more I think about it, you legitimately get where he's coming from. You get where all sides are coming from, because all the characters are perfectly established, charming, likable, distinct, and interesting. While there is a lot of talking and running around, there's also some incredible action sequences. The one at the airport, unbelievable. It was kind of like watching the climax in the first Avengers. It's one of those fights you never think you're gonna see on the big screen, at least not from Marvel comic books. You remember how big and epic they were when you were reading them, with also the funny one-liners and the distinct characters and the great action sequences, and here it is, on the big screen. These fights are so amazing. I'm always shocked after all these years how they can not only make these action sequences so creative and so good, but how the CG most of the time can look really good, and even when it doesn't, it's still so imaginative. These moves are so clever and fast, and what makes us on board with them is the fact that the characters are so clever and fast. If we just did this action sequence and none of them ever talked, it would fail. It would go on too long, it'd be boring. But because we do love these characters and we love the way they interact off each other, and it's interesting to see them fight one another, it's one of the great Marvel moments. In my opinion, it's one of the best Marvel movies, if not the best. I may still need a little time to look over all the Marvel movies and see where they're all going and what they do with them, but in terms of a Marvel movie that was deep, complex, action-packed, had great characters, had great laughs, kept me interested all the way through, and I couldn't wait to see what happened next, this is the movie that has everything. It's adult, it's childish, there's a lot of sitting around talking, there's a lot of running around fighting. It's funny, it's serious, it's uplifting, it's sad. It just has everything I would want from a really great comic book movie. So grab a shield or swing on in, because both sides are ready to give you one hell of a time.